The red soil of Proxima B crunched beneath Tessa Novak's boots. As she approached the smoking wreckage, emergency protocols demanded she wait for the security team. But as the colony's senior medical officer, waiting meant potential survivors might die. The vessel had pierced the atmosphere like a meteor an hour ago, carving a kilometer-long scar across the valley floor. "Base, this is Novak," she reported into her comm. "I'm at the crash site. Vessel is approximately 30 meters in length. Design unknown. Proceeding with caution. Negative, Doctor." Commander Harlow's voice crackled back. "Security team is 15 minutes out. Hold position." Tessa switched off her comm. 15 minutes could mean the difference between life and death. The ship's hull gleamed an iridescent blue under Proxima's amber sunlight, clearly not of human origin. An uneasy feeling settled in her stomach. This wasn't a registered transport. The entry hatch had been blown outward, metal twisted like paper. Tessa activated her helmet light and stepped inside. Medical scanner already sweeping for life signs. The interior was filled with smoke and sparking circuitry. Control panels flashing in languages she couldn't comprehend. "Hello," she called. "Out, I'm a doctor. I'm here to help." Her scanner beeped, detecting a faint life sign toward what appeared to be the cockpit. Tessa navigated through the wreckage, pushing aside debris until she reached a sealed compartment. The door was partially melted, but she managed to force it open. Inside, slumped against a control panel, was a humanoid figure. Not human. The skin was a deep azure, marbled with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed weakly. Tessa's breath caught in her throat. An Arcturian. She'd only seen them in intelligence briefings. A species from the outer colonies that had been intense. Negotiations with Earth for decades. "Can you hear me?" she asked, kneeling beside the injured alien. His eyes fluttered open, startling amber irises with vertical pupils that narrowed as they focused on her. He spoke, his voice a melodic cadence that her translator struggled to process. "Diplomatic vessel ambushed. Must warn, don't try to speak," Tessa said, running her scanner over his body. Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, but nothing her medical kit couldn't stabilize. "I'm going to help you." The Arcturian gripped her wrist with surprising strength. "No others survived?" Tessa shook her head. "I haven't found anyone else." "I'm sorry." Grief flashed across his features, so human-like in its expression that Tessa felt her heart constrict. She began administering emergency treatment, applying synthskin to the worst lacerations. "My name is Tessa Novak. I'm a doctor at the human colony. What's your name?" "Caden," he responded, wincing as the synthskin sealed a wound. "Caden Voros, diplomatic security." Her comm crackled to life. "Novak, security team 3 minutes out. Report status." Tessa looked at Caden, whose eyes now held fear. She knew the protocols for alien encounters, especially Arcturians: immediate containment, interrogation, possible military response. This wasn't just any alien. This was a potential diplomatic incident. "What happened to your ship?" she asked quickly. "Not an accident," Caden whispered. "We carried peace terms. Someone didn't want that." The distant whine of security shuttles grew louder. Tessa made her decision in that moment, one that would change everything. "Can you stand?" she asked, already helping him up. "We need to move now." "Why help me?" Caden asked, leaning heavily against her. Tessa guided him toward the emergency exit at the rear of the ship. "Because I'm a doctor, and because peace is worth fighting for." As they slipped away from the wreckage, the first security shuttles appeared on the horizon. Tessa knew she had just crossed a line from which there would be no return. Forbidden Sanctuary, the abandoned research facility, rose from the red earth like ancient ruins, its solar panels dulled by years of Proxima's dust storms. Tessa punched in an old access code, praying it hadn't been purged from the system. The door slid open with a reluctant groan. "Quick," she whispered, supporting Kaiden's weight as they stumbled inside. The facility had been decommissioned 3 years ago when funding dried up, but emergency systems remained functional. As the door sealed behind them, darkness enveloped them until motion sensors detected their presence, illuminating the space with dim blue light. "We should be safe here for now," Tessa said, helping Caden onto an examination table. Security doesn't patrol this sector anymore. Kaiden's breathing was labored, the bioluminescent patterns beneath his azure skin flickering erratically. You've compromised yourself, he managed, amber eyes fixed on her. Why? Tessa busied herself with the medical supplies she'd brought. I told you I'm a doctor. There's more to it than that, Kaiden said, wincing as she cleaned a deep laceration on his shoulder. Tessa paused, meeting his gaze. My father was part of the first contact team with your people. He believed in peaceful coexistence while others pushed for isolation or worse. He died still hoping for peace. The confession hung between them as Tessa continued treating his wounds. The facility hummed with dormant equipment, dust particles dancing in the blue light. Your colony will label you a traitor, Kaiden said softly. Probably, Tessa agreed, injecting him with antibiotics calibrated for Arcturian physiology. But I've seen enough death in this conflict. If you were carrying peace terms, that matters more than my career. As days passed, Kaiden's strength gradually returned. Tessa smuggled supplies from the colony, fabricating inventory reports and dodging questions about her frequent trips to the wilderness research sites. Each visit lengthened, their conversations deepening beyond cultural exchange to personal histories. On my world, Kaiden explained one evening as they shared a meal. We believe connections between souls transcend physical form. His fingers tentatively brushed against hers across the table. When two beings recognize something in each other, it's considered rare and precious. Tessa didn't pull away, surprised by the warmth that spread through her at his touch. Is that what's happening here? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, Kaiden admitted, but I've never met anyone like you, Tessa Novak. Their eyes locked, the space between them charged with unspoken possibility. Tessa leaned forward slightly, drawn by something she couldn't explain. Her calm unit chirped, shattering the moment. It was Commander Harlow. Novak, report to Central Command immediately. We've detected unauthorized access to restricted xenobiology files. Using your credentials. Tessa's blood ran cold. Understood. On my way. She shut off the comm and turned to Kaiden, whose expression had grown grave. They suspect something, he said. It was inevitable, Tessa replied, gathering her things. I need to go back and allay suspicions. You stay hidden and recover. Kaiden caught her hand as she turned to leave. Be careful. Your people are not unlike mine in how they treat those who challenge authority. His concern warmed her despite the danger. Impulsively, she leaned down and pressed her lips briefly to his. The contact sent a current of electricity through her body, alien yet somehow familiar. I'll return tomorrow, she promised against his lips. As Tessa stepped out into the Proxima twilight, she didn't notice the surveillance drone hovering silently above the facility, or Officer Marcus Reed watching her departure through high-powered binoculars from the ridge beyond. Explain yourself, Doctor, Commander Harlow demanded, tossing the data pad onto the desk between them. Your access code retrieved classified files on Arcturian physiology at 0300 hours. 3 nights in a row. Tessa maintained her composure. Despite her racing heart, I've been conducting independent research on xenobiology. The crash site exposed me to unknown biological material. I wanted to ensure I hadn't been contaminated. Officer Marcus Reed stepped forward from the shadows of the command room, his scarred face twisted with suspicion. And your excursions beyond the perimeter, also research, ecological samples, Tessa replied evenly. If you check my lab, you'll find documented specimens. Reed slammed his fist on the table. Stop lying. I tracked you to the old research facility. Who's hiding there? Commander Harlow raised a hand to silence Reed. Dr. Novak, if you're harboring an Arcturian survivor, it's a violation of colony security protocols and possibly treason. Your father's sympathies are well documented. I hope you haven't inherited his naivety. Tessa felt cold fury at the mention of her father. Is that what we're calling diplomacy now, naivety? The Arcturians massacred Outpost 7. Reed spat. They can't be trusted. Those reports were never confirmed, Tessa countered. And they've always maintained it was a third party that. Enough. Harlow interrupted. Dr. Novak, you're confined to quarters pending investigation. Reed Organize a search party for the research facility," as security escorts led her away. Tessa caught Reed's predatory smile. She knew what it meant: he wouldn't take an Arcturian alive. Night had fallen when Tessa bypassed her quarters security using medical override codes. The colony was buzzing with activity, search parties assembling at the eastern gate. She had minutes, not hours. She reached the research facility ahead of Reed's team, breathless and frantic. "Caden, we have to go now." He was already gathering supplies, having sensed the danger. "I intercepted their communications on the old facility channels. Reed plans to use lethal force." They slipped out through a maintenance tunnel as the first security vehicles appeared on the horizon, their searchlights cutting through the darkness. The tunnel emerged into a narrow ravine that would shield them from aerial detection. "The northern canyons lead to the Forbidden Zone," Tessa explained. As they hurried through the night, "It's a desert wasteland too harsh for regular patrols. If we can cross it, there's an old communication relay station that might still function. To contact my people?" Caden asked, helping her over a rocky outcropping. "Yes, if your mission was peace, we need to make sure someone knows what happened." They paused at the ravine's edge, looking out over the vast expanse of dunes shimmering under Proxima's 3 moons. Behind them, security vehicles were converging on the facility. "This is your last chance to turn back," Caden said softly. "Your life here." Tessa silenced him with a determined look. "My life changed the moment I found you." As they descended into the Forbidden Zone, Reed's voice echoed through the canyon behind them. "Find them. The alien doesn't leave this planet alive." Caden took Tessa's hand, their fingers intertwining as they vanished into the windswept darkness. Whatever awaited them across the desert, they would face it together. Desert crossing. Twin suns of Proxima B rose over the dunes, casting long shadows across the Forbidden Zone. Tessa and Caden had traveled through the night, putting distance between themselves and Reed's search parties. Now they sought shelter in the hollow of a massive rock formation. As daylight brought scorching temperatures, "The relay station is 2 days' journey from here," Tessa said, checking their water supply. "If we travel at night and rest during the day, we should reach it before Reed figures out where we're headed." Caden nodded, his azure skin dulled by a layer of red dust. "My people once lived in deserts like this. The heat doesn't affect me as severely as it does you." He reached out, gently brushing sand from her cheek. The touch lingered, his amber eyes searching hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Why did you really help me, Tessa?" he asked, the truth this time. She looked away, watching heat waves ripple across the distant dunes. "When I was 16, my father took me to a diplomatic summit. I saw an Arcturian delegation for the first time. While everyone else saw aliens, potential threats, I saw people, different, yes, but with the same capacity for fear, hope, love." She met his gaze again. "When I found you in that wreckage, I didn't see an enemy. I saw someone who needed help." Caden moved closer, the space between them charged with unspoken feelings. "Among my people, there is a belief that souls sometimes recognize each other across vast distances, across species, across time itself, like destiny." Tessa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Like recognition," he corrected, his hand now cradling her face, something ancient and familiar even. "In the unknown." The kiss that followed was tentative at first, then deepened with a hunger that surprised them both. Tessa's hands moved to his chest, feeling the strange rhythm of his heartbeat beneath her palms. Their differences seemed to dissolve in that moment, not human and alien, but to beings finding solace amidst chaos. When they finally parted, breathless, Caden rested his forehead against hers. "I never expected to find something like this so far from home." As night fell, they continued their journey across the desert. Caden shared stories of his world, crystal cities built into mountain ranges, oceans that glowed with bioluminescent life, traditions that spanned millennia. Tessa spoke of earth, of forests and rain, of human history with all its triumphs and failures. "The peace proposal?" Tessa asked as they crested a particularly steep dune. "What did it contain?" Caden's expression grew serious. "An unprecedented alliance, shared technology, cultural exchange, mutual defense, but more importantly, Evidence that the conflicts between our peoples were engineered by a third party, the syndicate, the corporate conglomerate. Tessa was stunned. Why would they want war? War creates profit, Caden explained, and keeps both our species distracted while they mine restricted worlds for resources. The diplomatic vessel carried proof, financial trails, intercepted communications, names of agents working both sides. Tessa stopped walking. That's why your ship was attacked. The syndicate couldn't let that information reach either government. Caden nodded grimly. And now I'm the only one left who knows the truth. As dawn approached, they spotted a metallic structure glinting on the horizon, the relay station. But behind them, dust clouds rose from multiple vehicles cutting across the desert. Reed, Tessa breathed. How did he find us so quickly? Caden's expression darkened. Someone who wants to ensure the truth stays buried in this desert. They ran toward the station as the vehicles gained ground, their future and possibly peace between their worlds hanging in the balance. The relay station's door yielded to Tessa's emergency override. After 3 tense attempts, they stumbled inside, securing the entrance behind them just as Reed's vehicles appeared on the horizon. The communications array should still work, Tessa said, rushing to the main console. It was designed to function for decades without maintenance. Caden joined her, his hands moving across the alien interface with surprising familiarity. This is similar to technology my people provided during the early cooperation years, he explained. I can adapt it to reach an Arcturian frequency. Outside, engines roared as vehicles surrounded the station. Reed's voice boomed through an amplifier. Dr. Novak, by order of Colony Command, surrender the Arcturian and exit the facility immediately. Tessa ignored him, focusing on helping Caden establish the connection. The ancient machinery hummed to life, power reserves activated after years of dormancy. We need to transmit the evidence, Caden said, removing a small data crystal from a hidden compartment in his clothing. Everything my team discovered about the syndicate's manipulation is stored here. As they worked frantically to prepare the transmission, the first explosion rocked the station. Reed was breaching the eastern wall. They're not here to arrest U.S., Tessa realized. They're here to silence us. Caden inserted the crystal into an adapted port. The transmission will take for minutes to complete. We need to buy time. Another explosion. Closer now. The acrid smell of breaching charges filled the air. Caden, Tessa said, suddenly calm despite the chaos. If we don't make it, he pulled her to him, his kiss fierce and desperate. We will. This isn't where our story ends. The main door burst open in a shower of sparks. Reed entered first, flanked by security forces with weapons raised. Step away. From the console, Reed commanded, his scarred face twisted with hatred. Now, Tessa positioned herself between Reed and Caden. This isn't about colony security, she said. This is about protecting the syndicate's secrets. How much did they pay you, Reed? Reed's expression flickered with surprise before hardening again. You don't understand the bigger picture, Novak. Some conflicts are necessary. Necessary for profit, Caden countered, still working behind Tessa. How many have died for your bigger picture? Reed raised his weapon. Enough talk. Last chance. Commander Harlow suddenly appeared in the doorway, assessing the standoff with narrowed eyes. Reed, what is this? I ordered capture, not execution. They're transmitting classified information to the enemy, Reed argued, not lowering his weapon. We're transmitting the truth, Tessa corrected, about who really benefits from this war. The console behind them beeped, transmission complete. Caden's shoulders sagged with relief as he moved to stand beside Tessa, their hands finding each other. Commander, Tessa addressed Harlow directly. The Arcturians weren't responsible for Outpost 7. The attack was staged by Syndicate operatives to prevent peace talks. The same operatives who shot down the diplomatic vessel. The evidence has just been transmitted to both governments. Harlow's gaze shifted between them, then to Reed, whose finger tightened on the trigger. Stand down, Reed, Harlow ordered. You're making a mistake. Reed snarled, but Harlow's security team had now turned their weapons toward him. The only mistake, Harlow said coldly, was trusting you. Communications intercepted your transmissions to Syndicate headquarters an hour ago. As Reed was disarmed and restrained, Tessa felt Kaiden's arm slip around her waist. Outside, a new sound filled the air, the distinctive hum of Arcturian ships responding to their signal. "What happens now?" Tessa asked Kaiden as they stepped out of the station into the desert dawn. Watching the sleek vessels descend, Kaiden turned to her, his amber eyes reflecting the rising suns. "Now we build something new," he said, drawing her closer. Together, as representatives from both worlds converged on the desert outpost, Tessa and Kaiden stood at the center of a moment that would change history to beings from different worlds who had found in each other something worth fighting for, a connection that transcended the stars themselves.